Hello everyone and welcome back to Deathtrap Dungeon. When we last left off, we just got badly beaten by some stuffed birds, believe it or not. So much so that we are down by one portion of provisions, and we are down to 14 stamina, which is less than ideal, let's just put it this way. But other than that, we have an emerald eye, and we have also obtained a couple of other items like a goblet, coil of rope. Let's see if these will come in handy in the future. Alright, let's see what else this wonderful dungeon has in store for us. Not much farther down the tunnel, we come across a closed door on our left. Putting our ear to the door, we listen intently but hear nothing. Alright, we want to investigate anything and everything, so let's open the door. We enter a room which is small and completely empty. As soon as we are inside, the door slams shut behind us. Suddenly, a voice booms out of nowhere, shouting, "Welcome to Deathtrap Dungeon, the ingenious killer labyrinth of my master. Adventurer, I trust you will pay your respects to my master by shouting out his name." Alright? It seems that the only option we have is to shout, and we could hail Sukhumvit, or we could trash talk him a bit. And you know what? We just barely entered this dungeon. I hate the guts of this guy already, so I'm not going to play nice. Let's call him a worm. Let's see how this idiot servant of Sukhumvit likes if we call his master a worm. Once again, the mysterious voice calls out, only this time, to our great surprise, in a far less threatening tone. "Ha! Good! My master likes those who show spirit. Take this gift to help you. It will grant you one wish, but one wish only. Farewell!" A gold ring magically appears out of nowhere and lands at our feet with a gentle tinkle. We pick it up and put it on one of our fingers. The door opens and we step back into the tunnel to continue north. Alright? That was actually a beneficial room, this way at least. I wonder what would have happened if we had hailed Sukhumvit, but at the very least we're fine this way. Let's continue. The tunnel twists and turns but keeps steadily north. Ahead we see a thin shaft of blue light streaming down from the ceiling to the floor. It sparkles and shimmers, and we can see images of laughing faces in the light. Alright, this is kind of creepy. It's definitely magical. I wonder if it's a trap or a challenge or something. Let's walk through the light and see what it is. We could ignore it, but you know, let's rise up to this challenge. As soon as our head goes under the blue light, we hear the sound of muffled voices. The faces are no longer laughing, but have changed their expressions to ones of despair and anguish. A young girl's sad face hovers in front of us, and she begins to whisper a poem. Transfixed, we listen intently, believing that she has a special message for us, as she recites, "When corridor doth water meet, do not make a quick retreat. Take a breath and jump deep in, if your trial you hope to win." Alright, that is more than creepy. So I guess it means that if any corridor ends in a kind of a pool, we shouldn't retreat, we shouldn't turn back, but rather we should dive in and look for an alternate route through the water, I guess. Memorizing the spirit girl's poem, we step through the shaft of light and quickly head on north. Alright, so far so okay, everything turned out fine so far. We only learned stuff. Hopefully it's useful things that we picked up. And we got a magical ring, and we haven't been exposed to any direct danger so far. So this section of the dungeon seems to be quite friendly. We come to an arched doorway set in the right-hand wall of the tunnel. The heavy stone door is closed, but there is an iron latch and a round handle. Alright, we enter every door that we find, so let's try this one as well. Lifting the hatch and pushing the heavy stone door open, we find ourselves in a large cavern. The light is dim and murky, but as our eyes begin to adjust, we see that the walls are covered in green algae and running with moisture. The floor is strewn with straw. The atmosphere is warm, damp and fetid, and a soft humming sound fills the air. We step gingerly through the straw towards a corner of the cavern where there appears to be a shallow pit. Peering warily into the pit, we are disgusted to see a mass of pale writhing worms, some as much as half a meter long. Utterly nauseated, we are about to turn away when we notice that their undulating bodies are swarming round a dagger, its point held fast in a crack in the pit floor. The hilt is cased in black leather studded with opals, and the blade is fashioned from a strange reddish-black burnished metal we have never seen before. We long to touch the dagger, but this would mean plunging our head in among the writhing worms. Alright, so I guess after the deadly and tricky and difficult challenges, we come now to the disgusting challenges. And yeah, well, I don't think they are particularly dangerous. Maybe they can bite or something, but this doesn't look like a very difficult task to remove this this dagger. Probably it will trigger a trap though, so we should be ready. But we definitely are going to reach for the dagger, and the reason for that is that we haven't had any equipment upgrades, so our skill level is capped at 10, and that's not really great. So let's see if that works out for us. Taking a deep breath, we lean over the pit and plunge our forearm into the mass of wriggling worms. They are cold and clammy and feel extremely nasty, but at least they are harmless, and we are able to seize the dagger by the hilt. We give it a hard tug, and it comes away from the crack in which the tip was embedded. Admiring its beauty and wondering whether it might once have belonged to some luckless contestant, we put the opal-studded dagger firmly in our belt and leave the cavern. Alright, that's good news. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have added a skill point to us, so it seems that it's like just a miscellaneous item, which is unfortunate. I really would have appreciated a skill upgrade, but you know, what we get is what we get. Let's see if there are any traps that we have triggered. As we make our way back to the doorway, the buzzing sound increases in intensity, and we look around desperately to discover where it is coming from. Glancing up in the nick of time, we see the huge and grotesque black shape of a giant fly emerging from a recess high up in the cavern wall. As it gets closer, we realize that it is at least 1.5 meters long. Its opaque wings vibrate, making the sickening buzzing noise we can hear, and its 6 black hairy legs are poised to grasp our body. Below its multifaceted eyes is a long, shiny black proboscis which darts in and out venomously. Okay, so I guess the disgusting part keeps continuing. We have stolen the giant fly's treasure from her brood of maggots, and we must take the consequences. Alright, so, well, I hate being right, but I guess I was right this time as well, so this is kind of a trap. I'm not sure if it's designed or intended, but from now we need to test our luck, I guess, for checking whether the giant fly can grab us. And our luck has run out, amazingly. And what that means is that we actually still lost a luck point. The giant fly dives down and seizes us with 4 of its legs. It climbs quickly back to the roof of the cavern, and we find ourselves dangling helplessly in its grasp. Then, to our horror, it suddenly releases its grip, and we fall 10 meters to the floor, landing heavily. Alright, we must roll a die and suffer that much damage, and we lost 1 stamina from our fall, so that's actually great. So I guess we got caught. I'm sad we didn't get lucky. I probably could have avoided this 1 stamina point of damage, but you know what, 1 stamina is 1 stamina, so we'll survive. We're still alive, so we draw our sword just in time as the giant fly swoops down to try and recapture us. Alright? But this time we managed to evade the outstretched legs of the diving giant fly. Stepping back, we draw our sword and prepare to fight the hideous insect as it turns to attack us again. Alright? With a skill level of 10, we are in 3-point skill advantage, and of course it damages us. And it damages us again. Now, even though we are in advantage, it seems that we are bleeding, but now its luck has turned. As I say it, I jinxed it, of course. We finally finish it off. We have won, but before anything else, I'm going to consume another portion of provisions. We're down to 11 stamina points, which is not great. We wipe the vile yellow slime from the blade of our sword and walk quickly to the door, back into the tunnel and head north. Right. The tunnel ends shortly at a junction. Looking left and right, we see a narrow passage disappearing into the dim distance. Alright, at this moment we're pretty badly beaten up, but you know, there is no other option for us but to persevere. We could go west or east. We went east the last time when we had the choice, if you recall, so let's go west this time. Let's see what happens there. Ahead we hear the sound of rocks being ground and crushed. The noise grows louder, and suddenly we realize that the wall on our right, so to the north, is starting to collapse. Terrified, we watch as a large, hideous worm-like creature with a gaping mouth and extraordinarily powerful mandibles slithers through a hole in the wall. I was hoping that we would be past the disgusting part, but I guess not yet. Its great jaws continue to crunch the rock as it turns its head slowly from side to side, feeling the cool air in the tunnel. It appears to be totally blind, but seems to know of our presence, perhaps sensing the heat of our body. It starts to slither towards us with its mandibles wide apart, open to attack. Alright? We could run back to the tunnel, to the junction to head east, but we are no cowards, so let's fight this rock grub. Let's see what it's made of. We draw our sword and advance slowly and carefully towards the huge slimy rock grub. And once again it has a skill of 7, but it has a stamina of 11, so it's tougher than the giant fly was. Supposedly we are still in advantage, but I'm going to use just one luck roll. Right? Alright. Seems that we are getting... yes, of course I jinxed it. I was about to say seems that we are getting a bit luckier this time. And we finally win. It hit us once. That's acceptable in my opinion. Let's consume the final portion of our provisions and see if it's going to be sufficient for the rest of this dungeon. We have defeated this slithering beast. We step around the great bulk of the dead rock grub and peer into the darkness of its borehole. We can only see a few meters, but are able to make out that it inclines slightly and it is wet from the secreted slime of the rock grub. It's interesting, we can explore the borehole, but we are not going to do that because obviously it's just what it kind of like literally bored through, ate through, so I don't expect anything to exist down there apart from, you know, some more danger, some slippery slope and maybe another rock grub. We can never know. So we are going to skip this option and actually we're going to walk west along the tunnel. After a long walk down the tunnel, we come to a dead end. A large mirror reaching from the ceiling to the floor hangs on the end wall, and in the dim light we can just about make out our own reflection. Okay, so it's a large mirror. I'm 100% sure this is a trap, and we are in no sound state to suffer more damage or, you know, to get trapped or whatever. So we are going to skip this one. We are not going to take a closer look in the mirror. We know how we look like. We look like this, and it's not a great sight to behold anyway, probably even less now that we are all beaten and bruised up. So instead we are going to make the long walk back to the last junction in the tunnel in order to head east. Passing the rock grub's borehole on our left, we soon arrive at the junction. We take a quick look down the tunnel leading south where we came from, but we do not see anything or anybody approaching. Quickening our step, we hurry on east. Right. We walk down the passage and soon find ourselves standing at the edge of a deep, dark pit. I was wondering when we would encounter pits again, and especially in the tunnel. We've only seen one room having this primitive trap, but I kind of knew that we would have to have more of these wonderful traps. The passage continues east on the other side of the pit. We think we could possibly jump over the pit, but we are not sure. There is a rope hanging down from the ceiling over the center of the pit. Alright? I don't like this, but we cannot even turn back. Not that we would want to go back to the mirror. The options we have is throwing our shield over the pit and jump after it. This sounds extremely stupid. We are not getting rid of any part of our equipment, that's for sure. So cross this one off the list. We could jump over the pit carrying all our possessions. I'm going to assume this would require a luck roll, and we are not great at luck at this moment. We could also reach for the rope with our sword to enable us to swing across the pit. Now this, I think, would rather require a skill test, which we are better at, or it might work, or it might trigger a trap. Whatever it is, this rope might have been left here by a previous contestant, or again, it might be a trap. But I'm opting for this one. Let's try this one. Gripping the rope firmly, we step back to take a running jump. However, in the dim light, we do not notice that someone has cut the rope almost in two, just a little way above the section we are holding. That's awesome. I'm going to assume it was one of the other contestants being so nice. As we swing out across the pit, it suddenly breaks, or snaps rather. Ropes don't break. And we scream with fear as we plunge headlong into the depths below. Oh, wow, that sounds great. Is this the end of our adventure? No. We land heavily on our back, but luckily our backpack cushions our fall. We lose 1 skill and 2 stamina points, which is pretty horrible. At this point it starts to become questionable whether this is going to be the run that we can finish. But so far we're not dead, so let's persevere. The darkness is almost pitch black at the bottom of the pit, and we crawl along the floor, groping in front of us. Suddenly our hand touches something cold, hard and smooth. The object is small and round, but we cannot figure out what it is. We place it in our backpack, hoping to see what it is once out of the pit. Alright, so at the very least we survived and we found something, whatever it might be. We continue to crawl forward and soon reach the pit wall. It is too smooth to climb, and we have to cut our hand and toe holds in it with our sword. This takes a long time, but finally we climb out of the pit on the eastern side. We immediately check out the object in our backpack and discover that we have found an orb of blood red ruby. We are absolutely delighted and head off east in high spirits, whistling softly under our breath. I don't know if this blood red ruby was worth the ruby orb was worth the 1 skill point. It was probably definitely worth the 2 stamina points, so I'm not sad about that. But yeah, we probably won't know. But at the very least, we're out of here. We kind of got lucky with our backpack, and you know, this was another obstacle we tackled. So far so great. Let's continue. The tunnel makes a sudden left turn and continues north as far as we can see. We soon arrive at a closed wooden door in the left-hand wall. Alright, we open all doors, so let's open it. The door opens into a large candle-lit room filled with the most extraordinary lifelike statues of knights and warriors. A white-haired old man dressed in tattered rags suddenly jumps out from behind one of the statues and starts to giggle. Though he looks like a fool, the sparkle in his eyes makes us think that there is more to him than is apparent. In a high-pitched voice he says, "Oh goody! Another stone for my garden! I'm glad you have come to join your friends. Now, I am a fair man, and so I will ask you a question. If you answer correctly, I'll let you go free. But if your answer is wrong, I will turn you into stone." He starts to chuckle again, obviously pleased with our arrival. Alright. This guy's clearly mad, but probably he can make good on his promise. So yeah, so that's not great. And I think this is the knight that that also entered the dungeon with us. Not sure. Alright, we could try to attack him or run. I don't think these options are great. Let's wait for his question. Probably we can still attack him afterwards. The old man points at one of the statues and we recognize it immediately. It is the knight who started the trial of champions, the agonized look on his face locked in stone for all eternity. The old man smiles, saying, "This man weighs 100 pounds, plus half his weight. How much does he weigh?" Alright, before we tackle this question, let's see. The thing is that we have just met the second of our competitors. If you recall, we have also found the corpse of one of the barbarians. So that means that two are already out. Now, that's not really like any good news for us, because that's not a respite, because we need to win anyway. So it's obviously it's possible for all 6 of us to fail. But it seems that 1/3 of the competition of the contesters rather has already been disposed of by the dungeon. But anyway, we have a little maths test ahead of us. So 100 pounds plus half his weight. How much does he weigh? Interestingly, we have an option for 100 pounds, which is kind of stupid. Like, you know, 100 pounds plus something cannot be 100 for sure. So the solution seems to be 100 plus x equals 2x. That's not a very complicated formula. So the guy, this poor knight, must weigh 200 pounds. Still smiling, the old man looks at us and says, "Well done, stranger. You have answered correctly. I wish you good fortune during the rest of the trial of champions, and to this end I shall increase your powers." Alright, that's something. That's something we badly needed, actually. He then mutters a few more unintelligible words and we feel a powerful surge soar through our body. We gain 1 point to each of our skill, stamina and luck scores. Amazing, that is great news. We bid the old man farewell and leave his room to continue north along the passage. Alright, it seems that we have gained these points to our maximum, which is, you know, great, which is actually great, which is the better option. So if we can by any means restore any of our stats, that means that we will be even better. So our portion of fortune is going to be extremely useful. We can boost it up to 14 if need be. I don't know if we can get healed up to 25, but that would be really great. And if we can just restore our 1 skill point, then we would be in an advantage. Already we are okay. Already we are quite okay, to be perfectly honest. We are back to our starting skill set, so skill level. So even though we lost 1, we regained it, so like that just kind of evens it out. Hopefully we will be able to raise our skill stat a bit further during our adventure. We sure seem to need it. Alright, only a few meters further down the passage we see another closed door in the left-hand wall. The letter X is scratched into its center panel. Putting our ear to the door, we listen intently but can hear nothing. Alright, we could rather keep walking north or open the door. I think we should open the door. As usual, we open all the doors, and besides, we definitely don't want to walk northwards. We need to explore as much of the dungeon as possible. So we are going to open the door, but that's going to have to wait until next time, because I'm going to make the cut of the video right here. I thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.